I don't know if for historical purposes we need to record how bitter cold it is in Detroit, Lincoln, and Minneapolis. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Sebastian's over in L.A. going 68. That's sweater weather. And I'm like,
yeah.
if I was 68, I'd be sitting outside, like smoking a cigar and enjoying barefoot weather.
Yeah. I saw it. It was just briefly when Sebastian joined the meeting this morning. He was wearing a coat. I saw it. So for 68 degrees. But yeah, Damien, negative 25 Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah, yeah. I've been there. I think the coldest wind chill I've ever experienced is -70
Mm.
in Nebraska. I think the biggest swings in weather are in South Dakota. I think historically, Nebraska's close though. Everybody talks about the weather. If you don't like your weather where you are, wait an hour. So in Kansas, Nebraska, and South Dakota, it's actually true because the Gulf Stream, the northern streams meet right overhead, and so whichever one's pushing harder wins the battle. And so you'll be sitting there enjoying a nice 70-degree day, and then like by night it's like 10 degrees. So
Oh,
yeah. You would die, Sebastian. I'm pretty sure you would die out here. Oh, or you would just get a new appreciation for layers and warmth.
oh, yeah. No,
Are you
I'm
at
not in.
Richard? I can't remember. Are you in New York?
No, he's Richard's up in Canada. So
Oh, that's right. The Canadians get their own thing. They're cold all the time. The thing about Nebraska is, so if you ever see a Nebraskan dress, you can always see like a Nebraskan or a Kansas, anybody in this like center of the United States, you can see how we dress. We dress differently than every other place in the United States because we have 3 to 4 layers on. And so in general, we don't wear big poofy coats like you guys do on the coasts and down south. Because either it's cold down there or it's warm. In our area of the world, especially right next to the mountain ranges, like you'll start off that day literally like 70 degrees and end it freezing, or you might start off freezing and end it in the 70s. And so you end up wearing a shell which has no warmth to it but can protect from the weather. Then you have your warm layer, then you have your dry layer, your like t-shirts and stuff, and then you have your under layer. And so depending on how you're doing, yeah, the Christmas story, poofy
yep.
coat in Nebraska, you'll see we're wearing it looks like we're wearing thin stuff. We're not. We're wearing like 4 layers so that we can take off a layer depending on how we're feeling later.
Too much. Too much for me.
Oh my gosh. Well, and it kind of like segues into our topic today of how do you appropriately like manage architecture for a client. And so, like,
There you go.
again, on the coast, everybody's wearing coats. Like, they wear these big poofy. If you're in New York, you got a big, nice, glorious down coat. In Nebraska, that's a little bit overkill because then either you start off the day and you're hot and sweaty, or you end the day and you're hot and sweaty. And at some point in there, you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Whereas in Nebraska, to dress right, you have to adapt. You have to adapt quickly because
All
that's how
right.
fast the weather changes. And so with your clients, like, not every client needs a FortiGate. Now there are different sizes of FortiGates, and there's different layers to FortiGates. Has anybody ever installed a mid-tier FortiGate? Has anybody done mid-tier networking like firewalls?
I've done them all, but not much on the 40 gates.
They have some really cool mid-tier stuff like for IPS. So you pass from one VLAN to the other through a FortiGate, and it was a really great cheap way to do mid-tier routing. So you can say if you want to pass from this zone to this zone, you have to meet these criteria with applications. Great way to sniff out PII. Great way to sniff out credit cards and do cool things. Yeah, SMB mid-tier. I knew somebody had to be in here that has done it. I'll wave my networking flag every once in a while. I was the engineer you wanted to have on your team back when I was an engineer. I was a sysadmin, knew everything, but I was deep in my different technologies. The first technology to die in my brain was Microsoft Server OS.
Yeah, that one.
That was the one I was glad to forget. There are days with small business servers. Do they even do SMB for Windows anymore?
Thankfully that died, I believe.
That was hell on earth.
Yeah.
But again, it was because, in my opinion, Microsoft tried to be everything to all of their clients. They tried to build an all-in-one box, and it was crap.
Yep.
And when it's still there but depreciating, that's pretty
Deprecating.
much the state of the world, is depreciation.
No, not. Well, you can read that two different ways. I'm not sure which one it is. It's depreciating or deprecating. I kind of like the other one. And so, well,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah,
We're getting into the operation. We never get to talk operations in these updates, and so
I don't know. Yeah. But that thing you mentioned about Microsoft there, them trying to be all things to all people, and we can all personally attest to how painful that was. And I think there's a good lesson to learn there, and that you can't be all things to all people. And I think we know this, but when you go and specifically on the architecture assessment, if you're looking at your clients, if you're doing your assessments and you're looking at all this and go, all right, I want all of my clients to have all of these solutions in place, I would say you're falling into that route of trying to be all things. And you can't, and you shouldn't be. So we get the opportunity, though, in the architecture assessments to understand what it is that your clients need in the context of your standards. So there's a different approach there. Rather than trying to say, hey, we're going to try to make everybody do this, why don't we look at this and say, what do our customers need to do in comparison to what we can do, what we are doing? And so that's the key element that we want to keep in our assessments, is it's always variable, but it's variable based on our templated standards. So that we do have a benchmark here. We have a line in the sand, or a gold standard, whatever it is we want to do. We're not diluting that, but we are going to take into consideration the client context.
Yeah, and so that's what we're going to cover today. Like, oh man, I just lost my screen. Come on, Adam. I have like 300 tabs open. Okay, so you guys all know the pain. I have browser window, browser window, browser window, or say Chrome instance, Chrome instance, Chrome instance. And all my tabs are on this one right now. And so I'm sitting here and I just lost what I was just working on, because I can't even count right now, maybe 36 tabs. And this is my smallest screen. So, all right, I'm going to put this over here so we can talk business here. So we're gonna deep dive into what this architecture report is and some kind of the tips. And we should probably cover this maybe once a quarter, because there's a lot of do's and don'ts on the reports that people are ignoring, and that we have learned over the past 6 years on how to do this better. So like, we keep these reports in Angular right now because it's glorious, it's pretty, it works. The Angular reports are nice.
Yeah.
But if I could pull up one of these days, I'm going to pull up one of those old reports, Skip, the big one.
Yep.
And some of you legacy users out there who have not upgraded into the new platform are still using them, I bet. But they were monstrous. So we would do an assessment, because the more data we have as engineers, the cooler things we can do. And so it just made sense. Let's just make sure that we get all the information up front. Well, so the great idea is that you would take these assessments and you would share them with the client, and the client would fill them out for you.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of you just laughed, because that didn't work. You can't get a client to take free money. I mean, they just don't engage well. So the idea was you would go through here and have them select all the answers so that you knew where they were and how things were going. And then you would take the survey and you would do recommendations based upon it. But we learned really quickly, people are lazy universally. So the more we do for our clients, the more data we can get. So we had to take it upon ourselves to fill out the technology assessment. And then there was a second layer to that. Now we gave it to our engineers. Hey, if you just fill out this report, there's only 100 questions. You'll know everything you need to know about this client, from down to the number of sticks of RAM you need. Guess what the engineers did? I ain't got time for that.
That's right.
Even though it was a great idea. In theory, you want to know as much as you can about your client. And we've done everything. Like, you guys are all engineers. We've done everything from trying automation of inventory analysis. Even then, you get overwhelmed by a number of things you have. And some things don't report because they're behind mid-tier firewalls. And, you're sitting there and eventually you're just going insane. You got to ask yourself, what do I actually need to know about my client's environment as an engineer to make good, solid decisions? Because no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, there's always going to be a beige server hiding somewhere. You can do your best. You can crawl in every attic, but somebody, somewhere, put one under their desk in a drawer that you're going to find someday. It's going to wreck your day.
Yep.
So what we have here is, instead, if you would take your time and look at this architecture report, this is the one that Skip, I'm going to skip the credit here because he built this thing, distilled it. This used to be a 3-hour, 4-hour assessment. Would you say, Skip? Longer?
It was a lot. There was a lot of digging that had to go into some of them.
And it covered everything. It was comprehensive. And so Skip had been boiling this down to what matters for years. And so if you look through it, there's silly questions like Office 365. Do they have it? That's a base question. Are they a Google Workspace? Do they use Corel WordPerfect 7? A great word processing software.
Yeah.
Love that blue screen. Anyways, where's the email? Basic question. These are large project questions that affect enterprises, that affect you. Antivirus. Do they have your antivirus? Correct antivirus installed. We don't care if they have antivirus so much as we care about, do they have the right antivirus installed? Because that's two separate projects.
And this is where your standards come in. So the templates as they are, you can just read them and take it at liberty there. The correct is going to be yours. If you want to go in there and change that around so that you specifically mention a product or even a tier on that product, you can. I do throw in a little tidbit here. It can kind of create some awkward conversations for you in the future, though, because how many of you have been using the exact same AV solution for the last 10 years? All right. We all change at some cycle. And if you're evaluating your client based on a specific technology, product, and they're compliant in one quarter, but then you negotiate a new deal with someone else and you come back in the next quarter and you're saying, hey, you guys are out of compliance. All right. Why? Because you switch vendors? Anyway, that can set up some awkward conversations. So I think there is a value in being a little bit vague here, so that as those changes happen in the environment, you have the opportunity to make the right conversation and migrate them over. So anyway, just a little tip there on some of the edits and the modifications of those. But yeah, get in here. This is the baseline. We're asking, what are the concepts we need to understand here? Provide the detail that you guys need if you want to go a little bit further.
Yeah. So I'm going to point out really quickly, if you create a time box for yourself, 15 minutes, imagine you have 15 minutes to figure out what a client has. What questions will you ask? Because if you don't stop, you guys are all too smart for your own good. You dig your own graves. Oh, if I just knew this one extra. No, you have 15 minutes before you need to move on to your next task. What can you gather and know for 15 minutes? It's kind of like, think about a shopping spree. Okay, I've got a cart. I'm going to go. Where do you go first? And so you take this and like this generic question here. Do the workstations have correct AV agents installed? At this point in time, an engineer is reading this question going, no, they're all on Semantic AV 2000. Okay, Now, whatever your flavor of the day is, I used to love CrowdStrike, for instance. So I switched to CrowdStrike in 2021, and I want all my clients to be on that. Well, it's going to change the audit for all of them this year. Now, what I do is, instead of updating my questions and instead of updating my audits, I actually copy that solution. I come up here to our favorite. Oh, it's not going to be in this view, is it, Skip? Got to get out of essentials more often. I go up to the service catalog and I look for that service now, right? If my browser's not going to be slow. And I look for like antivirus malware solution, that whatever that service is I copied. So you're going to come in here and click on this. Now, this is my demo account. Don't worry about this. You will come in here and you will say, you'll update your graphic to CrowdStrike. You'll upgrade your description to CrowdStrike. Now, across all clients, wherever there's an antivirus recommendation, it's going to say CrowdStrike.
Yeah.
This, you just updated every solution set out there. And so you're done. Now, whenever your account managers go on an audit, or next time you go and audit somebody, it's going to make the recommendation CrowdStrike. And so now everybody's happy. Rather than you having to update all the reports, you now have one report that has all the recommendations that are correct now.
Yep.
Done. End of story. You can copy that and create a new solution if you want to make sure you're tracking solutions, and it's on you however you want to audit your reports. The point is that you want to update your I've got to get out of the bad habit of using essentials all the time.
Humidor's one I've been using too.
I know. It's a comfort level thing. When you get to your infrastructure audit, you can now use that new marketing collateral whenever you recommend. The person auditing doesn't need to know that, oh, they're not on CrowdStrike everywhere, and they don't need to know the details of how to sell CrowdStrike or anything. That's all going to be in the service catalog. What services do you offer to solve this problem? So if their Office 365 isn't in place, what do you recommend they do? What is your standard adoption? Well, we do an audit of what's on every PC. We look in Automate or in whatever backend tool we have for auditing, and we pull a report. And your engineer is going to know how to do all this stuff, but it has nothing to do with your initial assessment. You know your process on the back end. And so in the recommendation, you can detail little things, but you only want to put in your recommendation what the client cares about. Hey, you're not on Office 365. We're going to do an audit of your system, and we're going to migrate you to Office 365. Maybe they're on Squirrel Mail currently, and there's an extra step because now it's an open source email system, and you're going to have to export things to PSTs, and you can import them into Exchange. You have to write a custom script. All that becomes project fees. That is done later. Right now, you just need to know where they are. They don't have Office 365. You need to get to Office 365. Once the recommendation's on the table, then your account manager or your engineer can scope it out.
And that's an important element. So as remember, the future state, all right, is the ideal state we want them to be at. And again, all your customers are different. So, not everybody needs 48 port switches in the racks. I mean, sometimes 24 ports work just fine. There's a lot of things that go into that. So, but the benefit of that, we've got a modern switch where we can, it's got plenty of power in it. We've got the patching levels we need. All the benefits of, those elements is what we define in the project. All right. And the scope that's there is, again, meant to be a benefit. We're going to solve this general problem. But just like Adam was talking there, if you're moving someone from Squirrel Mail, right, to Exchange or Office 365, then you're going to have some additional details, and there's options to fill that in that project recommendation within that client's context. So you get to put the details about Squirrel Mail, and you get to put the additional costs around the project, because you got to have someone exporting, their mailboxes to another file to do the import, and all that extra stuff, which is unique anyway, can be there within the client, and you still have a standards-based recommendation to run all of your clients against. So start with the standard, but the standard is not specific. The standard is a goal, and the specifics are what we're going to work in the project to get there.
And so, like, one of the things I want to put up here, just to kind of expand on what he's saying, is that describe the backup service. This is a fantastic question that all of you are concerned with right now. What does today's backup solution look like? I swear it changes every 2 seconds.
Yep.
But I remember when Veeam first came out, and it was the coolest thing ever. And now that's old. It's a little back end. Maybe we need to update. When you move the needle for your stack, you reduce the stack score for all your clients. Remember that in our reports. When you say now the optimal backup solution is what for every generation you're using, Veeam is no longer best scenario. So when you do your 2023 update and audit for this client, like they're using our old backup solution, not using our new one. We got a better deal on this new one. It allows us to work faster, better. People use it. It's great. And so now it's serviceable solution because what they used to use, but the optimal is this new Veeam or this new VMX backup. So you go ahead and put that on the list. Now, because backups are a freaking like herding cats, you got to come up here and you've got to go in and you got to go to your, I don't like to do it here. I like to do it the master roadmap. So we go back to your clients. And now, like after you finish the assessment, once you've got the baseline going, you come into your project roadmap for this client. And I look for backup solution. Man, I've got too many projects on here. Too many projects, Skip. I just added it, so it should be. Did I put it somewhere, Skip? Did you see it? So you come in here. I'm just gonna fudge this. So you come in here, and in here, like if I didn't have 1,000 solutions, I would filter this down. Ooh, wait, I can go over here. I can see that it is on. There it is. See, look, if I use my own tool the way it's meant to be used. Oh, look, there's my recommendation. I really want to get this in quarter one, so it's gold. It's now planned. My assessment, my recommendation on the back end was that this needed to be done, and I'm just going to go ahead and put a time frame in there. And I come in and I click on this, and now I can start scoping out what needs to be done. Now you go to your backup team, which may be you, or you may have a backup specialist at your company. You decide what you want to do. So you come in here and you say, I can have this done by the 23rd if the client buys in.
So to highlight something here, this due date is a brand new feature. All right. This was not available, I think, a month ago in the platform. So, the due date right now, it's just here right now. We'll see where else we can get this, but it is useful when we look at our larger project roadmap module. We can now sort by this due date.
Yep.
So a couple of options for you in there to adjust that. Also mention a couple of things that not many of you use, and that's the responsible field as well. Now, we've been able to assign responsible, but it was always one of these deals. You just had to know where to hover in the old roadmap widget. Here we have highlighted it a bit more, and it is still only going to list members defined in the managed services platform. All right, so you're not going to be able to put your client contacts there, but there's a really easy workaround that if you need someone outside your organization, because our membership levels have unlimited number of users, you can go out there and you can create a kind of a dummy ID that says third party. Yep. Or if there is a vendor that you work with all the time, there was a period there where our MSP was doing quite a bit of work in these brand new build outs, and we had partnered with a cabling company. We decided we weren't going to do it. We were going to partner with someone else. There's a great opportunity to go in there and kind of create an account just for that, so you can flag that, know who's doing that. If you want to create one for a customer, it says, client or local staff, or whatever you want to do to kind of get creative, that's a good way that can provide some additional detail of, hey, who's kind of got the lead on this, and provide some more information that goes into those client conversations. And again, to help you manage this collaboratively with your clients.
So yeah, what you have here is you put your notes in specific to what that client needs, so that it's all documented here. So when you talk to your client about it, it's what matters. So if Wellscope was talking to you, saw me change the project name to something they care about. This new backup solution is going to save them money over the long term. They'll have like upfront cost, but that's your narrative. This guy's going to do it. He's going to have it done by this date, or kick off the project this date. Here's what it's going to allow.
And the deliverables here, again, these, there's two main editable windows in here. And I think generally speaking, kind of best practices is template out that top window where it says problem and benefit. Those are the easiest part, and that's where you provide the information about the goal, the general idea of where we're going to go with this. And then this second editable window, which is labeled deliverable, but you can actually rename that if you want. This is where you can provide the more client contextual information about unique things. You can list servers. You can tag people. We can say, hey, we're going to do the third floor first. Whatever you need to do that makes this specific to the client so that they understand this. Remember, we've got an expanding set of shareable options. So the clients are going to be able to come back after the fact and see this information. It shows up on the report. They can get it to the dashboard share. There's a lot of ways where they can view this specific information. So, put some things in there. If you don't like those bullet points, it's just text, bullet points, replace those. If you got your own, fine, whatever you want to do there. But what I found, me being the engineers, I can typically type bullet points while I'm talking about something else. Now, you asked me to put complete sentences together. Skip can't do complete sentences barely at all. All right. So that's what I put in the templated section, leaving me the freedom to just use bullet points going down below. And then Adam is also highlighting here yet another additional feature we've added, and that's this other cost element. So we used to have to kind of just bundle everything together into one kind of block number, but now we've got the ability to get a little bit more detail in here. So we've got that squirrel mail backup, right? Typically you don't have to do that. If it's an exchange, we're going on-prem to cloud, that's kind of baked into our standard solution. But we got one of these deals where we got to do something goofy. You've got to maybe roll out to a branch office or something, and it's got travel time. Throw that cost in there so that we can track that going forward. And again, we don't need to get specific. These are more budgetary numbers and planning numbers than actual invoice and quote numbers. So don't get the two confused. And as long as you get these pretty close up front, the remaining work gets much, much easier. All right. If you can give your client a good estimate of what this is going to cost, when that invoice shows up, there's typically going to be much less questioning and debate. It's more likely they're going to look and they go, oh, yeah, it's about right. Pay. All right. And we all want to get paid nice and simple, right? So this is a bit of prep work that you can do to make your payment and billing cycles go much, much smoother.
Calling it out, Skip.
Yep.
This one account still has this bug.
Save money. Oh, the zero coming up in there.
It's only this account. If anybody else sees this, let us know. It's only this account.
Yeah.
But when I go to proposal, so we have $7,500 proposal here. I just said, like, hey, create this project. I need to get this done this month. It's over in proposals now. I can see the save money with new backup proposal, and I kick it out. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to share it with my client. I can have, so I can have 7,500 and total is zero. Only on our demo account. Makes us look bad. Every time I report to the developers, I'm like, this is annoying. They're like, I don't know where it is. I can't see it. So anyways, I can share this with you guys all on this call right now if I wanted to. Get this approved while I'm having a conversation. This took 5 minutes. Done.
Yep.
No more 3-hour quoting out a bunch of crap. It's now you're done because you've already got the delivery done. This was just us moving through one project that we discovered in an audit. We did it really quick. That's why you want this audit, these reports to be done in 15 minutes each. Do not make a report that is a one ring to rule them all scenario.
Yeah.
Make a 15-minute. That's going to drive more projects because you're going to be able to do what I just did there while Skip was talking. I was able to, like, while he was talking, create the pros real quick, throw it over to the client. And now they know how much money they need to spend. They can give you a soft approval. And now you can start working on it while somebody goes out and gets an actual quote and actually puts dollars and pennies to the number.
Yep.
This will also increase your perceived value because you're including them in the conversation about what's getting done while you're making the proposal.
Yes, that's the important part. Include your clients in these. Nobody needs another report. That's become my catchphrase here of late. Adam, click back there on Project Roadmap. I want to mention a couple of other new features. So, I know sometimes we just kind of
new features in the bit. We got a whole bunch of new features coming out. By the way,
we do, and so it's really cool. Just take a few minutes and peruse through this Project Roadmap. Kind of the terminology that I'm using, and we'll see more details on this in upcoming updates to the knowledge base, FYI. But we're referring to this one as the Project Roadmap module. And what you see in the reports is the Project Roadmap widget. And there is a little bit of difference. The module has new features. So jump in here, play around with these. There's some filtering, there's some sorting, the dates, budgeting, all those cool things we've added. And the great part about that is this module right here works really well in front of your customers. You get to bring this up on the screen. You get to really prioritize and plan out what's going on. You've got details at your fingertips if you need it, and plenty of ways to slice and dice this so you stay focused on what's important. But kind of close it up with what Adam was talking about there just a second ago. Collaborate with your clients on this. Let them be part of the process. All right. Because if they say, I don't think it's going to work, let's move that over one. Can you move that block over one to the next quarter? Yeah, let's do it then. All right. Is it really that big a difference to you whether you do it in Q3 or Q4? I mean, if your client is engaged in that process, we know it's going to get done. Let's make it happen. So great tool for collaboration here.
And so the point Skip has, and I want to show you one more thing before we wrap up this call. I think I'm just going to go ahead and leave it recording while I do it.
All right.
Is that in a conversation, in my experience, as somebody who has spent a lot of time designing projects with leadership and getting buy-in, is that there's only like 5 minutes between a rejected project and an approved project. And if you do this where you're emailing back and forth, that 5 minutes becomes 5 to 10 days.
Yep.
As you respond back and forth and play phone tag. If you are designing out, if you're auditing quickly and then coming in and negotiating via the recommendations dashboard, project roadmap, and the budgeting tool, you get that turnaround on projects so much faster because now your client has a say and they can immediately say, hey, this isn't working. That's too much, or that's a bad month for this, or that doesn't work. They can immediately say that and you can adjust it on the fly here.
Yes.
Because it's really easy. This stuff is meant for people that aren't used to that, who don't have MBAs. This is meant for people like having an actual conversation to drive your project. And it all comes back, as Skip was kind of alluding to, is to our release this week or next week. I think we've given them the approval to push it out.
Yeah.
Is the new dashboard. So all these modules, it's really important that you think of this stuff in terms of modules. Because you're going to be able to do, like you see, this is the old home screen. So for those of you who have not seen this yet, I've been showing it in demos recently. When you come in, your new home screen is going to replace all the home screens out there. Is going to look like this.
Ta-da.
This should look really familiar. What was that? Ta-da. Oh,
Ta-da. Yeah.
So this is shareable. You can share this. Like I can save this right now. I can copy it and I can put it into the group chat. So let's go over there. You guys can click on this right now.
Absolutely.
Well, looks like I've been chatting with the panelists, not everyone. This you can click on right now. This is in a test environment, but this will go live here pretty soon. And the idea here is you can actually add modules to your own view, kind of like a bright gauge or a logarithm, or when you're creating like a seam dashboard or anything like that. This is a customizable dashboard for this client. So this is Joe's truck. What do you want to know about Joe's trucks? Go ahead and move things around, like add new modules in. What's the growth score? Where's the security budget? Add in a module for project status. 2x1, and we love donuts. And we can name whatever we want. Right?
There we go.
And then when you're done, like you can reorganize this. When you're done, you now have your own view of this client, things that you care about. So that project roadmap, being able to come down here and see what status things are in and being able to set settings and stuff, that is coming in here. What we want is you guys to use this. So if you click on the project, it's going to bring up the project for you. And we want to get your feedback on what you think are interesting things to put on these dashboards. So you have a single pane of glass, see how your client is doing. So, you can pull in data from your PSA. You can pull in data from your reports. You can pull in data from wherever and say, this is my single dashboard. It shows me where I'm at. I want to see this stuff. It's important to me. Here's how many projects are in plan stage. Here's how many are in recommended stage. Here's how many are approved. And you should be able to say, wow, we got a bunch are approved, but nothing has been planned. I probably need to work on that.
Yeah.
And you can name these stages whatever you want. And you can name these pillars whatever you want. For those of you who've been asking to rename the pillars forever, now's your chance. You can actually rename this stuff. You can go in and say, this is now my pool security audit.
And back to what
call it.
Yep. Back to what I was mentioned earlier, we want to collaborate with our clients. All right. We want to be involved in the process. And I go back to the analogy of if you were actually an employee, if you weren't a service company, if you were full-time employee within this organization, you would sit down and work with your coworkers, right, to figure out what they need. And we want to replicate that collaborative, engaging process with your customers so they get the experience. And if you're using the tool and then we share the information afterwards and they're following up, they're putting numbers into the accounting system, they're like, what was that budget number? What was that for? They get to get back in and look at the exact same screens that you were using to drive and facilitate the conversation. So we provide that connection back to the engagement. So a couple of powerful elements here that really get you closer in conversation and relationship with your customers and use these with them live.
You're going to make your clients look like heroes because there's that key stakeholder that's been putting up with your crap for the past 3 years. You're now giving them a tool where they can go and they can make a nice presentation to their board, to the CEO or to whoever the ask is. So for your larger clients, that key stakeholder is going to love this. For the smaller clients, they probably will never look at it. But you can come in with your cup of coffee and you can say, what's going on with Joe's Trucks? And to answer the question that is on a lot of your heads right now, when you go to the home screen now, there is a one home screen to rule them all. This is set to the account manager. Each account manager can build their own home screen, but this is across all your clients now. So now you have a view saying, where are my assets? Where are all my projects? And you can filter them and you can play around with them and look and see what do you care about so that you can say, here's my snapshot of my entire environment. And we're going to be working on some really cool widgets to give you snapshots of what tickets do you care about? What projects do you care about? And so when you come in, so Giovanni can be like, hey, I really want to know operationally where we are. Create an operations dashboard and do that. You can just say, hey, just show me this dashboard for these account managers. So here's your team management. Show me these items for just these clients. Click on 2 clients and filter it down. What about all your big clients, mid clients, small clients? What about just my daycares or my doctor's offices or my dentists? You can filter this and give yourself some time and permission to think about your company while drinking a cup of coffee in the morning. This becomes your 10-minute snapshot of what's going on. No more searching around your PSA, no more having to go everywhere and figure out what's going on. You now see it in one space. So this is where we've been going. This is why we needed to get the budget module in place, the project management module in place, the asset management in place, all this stuff. We have been working towards this because we want you to have a single pane of glass where you can see what's going on in your industry. We want to humanize all this data that you have in front of you with your PSA, with your scale pad lookups, your warranty lookups there, with your different tools you have everywhere. And now we can do this very easily. If you see, let's say, hey, I really need to know these API calls, and like, hey, let's build a widget for that. This is just the beginning, people. This is what we've been working for 18 freaking months to get to this concept where you get to have a easy one hand on a cup of coffee, other hand on the mouse, see what's going on in your environment, see which account managers are falling behind, see which technicians are rocking it, see where you need to spend money, see which projects you need to push through. Go in and see where things are. Filter down to just the projects you care about. Filter down to the clients you care about. You got a problem with 3 clients or 1 client? Go ahead and filter down and look at what's going on. This is the beauty of a customizable dashboard. It's not about what I want. It's about what you want and what is important to you and your business.
There you go.
So I'm excited. We will be sending out an email when this rolls out to public. I think there's a couple more tweaks they need to do and some bug fixes, and it will be ready for you. And then we will want your feedback. Tell us what modules are missing.
Start now. If there's something you already see, let us know. Like I said, we're in the kind of final beta phases here before we push it out, but there could be things we could get in there before we go live with it. So please let us know if there's any features or feedback that you want to provide right away on it.
Are accepting feedback for the project detail flyouts. These?
Yep. So when you, for the most part, so we've got a couple of those widgets there that will open and expand a bit more because natively they already did that. The other ones, rather than doing the flyout feature, anything that you click on there, it's going to open that contextually in a new tab for you. So it's still going to be able to drill down really quick, whether it's the flyout feature or a new tab. It's going to depend on the widget, but we did want to make sure that you had, one click instant access to that detail.
I just want to read this, click on it. I want to go to it to manage it, click on it, and the arrow that goes to the right.
Yep.
Does that answer your question, Nate? And now you can do all your fun stuff in here. See, that's the problem, is that weird symbol there. That's why it's breaking.
Adaptability.
I love it. The Cowboys kids have no shoes, like whenever I'm doing a demo, I'm like, oh, there's that bug. It only affects me. But, you can do your proposals. I mean, this is meant to facilitate conversations. This is meant to wow your customers. You should be a kick-ass engineer who looks like a kick-ass engineer. Let everybody else look like the bums they are, who are just trying to do break fix. You need to look like you're amazing, and you need to have conversations because you can adapt to your customer on the fly because you know what you're doing. All those other charlatans out there who know how to sell one thing, they're not going to look great because they're not going to be able to adapt. This is where we want to take you. We want to make you look awesome. We want to take you on a journey with your clients. So if you have any questions, send us back, reply to our newsletter or be watching the newsletter for the release. And I am going to be really excited for some of the new widgets we have planned to come out on this dashboard. And they should all be based around something that allows you to take action. Something that you're missing today or is really hard for you to find today that allows you to take action. So give us that feedback and we will look at putting it on the roadmap. Thank you,
All right.
everyone. Have a
Thanks.
great week.